Once upon a time, there lived a man named Ahmed who had a wife named Jamil. He knew no special craft or trade, but he had a shovel and a pick. And as he often told his wife, if you can dig a hole, you can always earn enough to stay alive. That was enough for Ahmed, but it was not enough for Jamil. One day, as she often did, she went to the public bath to wash herself in the hot pool and chat with the other women. But at the entrance, the woman in charge told her, "You can't come in now. The wife of the king's royal fortune teller is taking the whole place for herself." "Who does she think she is?" protested Jamil. "Just because her husband tells fortunes." But all she could do was to return home, fuming all the way. That evening, when Ahmed handed his wages for the day, she looked at these few coins. "I won't put up with this any longer. Tomorrow, you will sit in the marketplace and be a fortune teller." "Jamel, are you insane?" said Ahmed. "What do I know about fortune telling?" "You don't need to know anything," said Jamel. "When anyone brings you a question, just throw the dice and mumble something that sounds nice. It is either you listen to me or I go to my father's house." So the next day, Ahmed sold his shovels and his pick and bought the dice and the board and the rope of fortune teller. Then he sat in the marketplace near the public bath. Hardly had he gotten settled, there ran up to him the wife of one of the king's ministers. "Fortune teller, you must help me. I wore my most precious ring to the bath today, and now it is missing. Please tell me where it is." Ahmed gulped and cast the dice. As he desperately searched for something wise to say, he happened to glance up at the lady's clock. There he spied a small hole, and showing through the hole a bit of her naked hand. Of course, this was quite improper for a respectable lady. So Ahmed leaned forward and whispered gently, "Madam, I see a hole." "A what?" "A hole, a hole." The lady brightened. "Of course, a hole." She rushed back to the bath and found the hole in the wall where she had hidden her ring for safekeeping and forgotten it. Then she came up to Ahmed. "God be praised," she said. "You knew right where it was." And to Ahmed's amazement, she gave him a gold coin. That evening, when Jameh saw the coin and heard the story, she said, "You see, there is nothing to eat. God was merciful on this day," said Ahmed, "but I dare not test him another day." "Nonsense," said Jameh. "If you want to keep your wife, you will be back to the marketplace tomorrow." Now it happened that on that very night, at the palace of the king, the royal treasury was robbed. 40 pairs of hands carried away 40 chests of gold and jewels. The theft was reported next morning to the king. "Bring me my royal fortune tellers and all his assistants," he commanded. But though the fortune tellers cast their dice and mumbled quietly wisely, no one could locate the thieves or the treasure. "Frauds!" cried the king. "Throw them all in the prison." Now the king had heard about the fortune teller who had found the ring of his minister's wife. So he sent 2 guards to the marketplace to bring Ahmed, who appeared trembling before the king. "Fortune teller," said the king, "my treasury has been robbed of 40 chests. What can you tell me about the thieves?" Ahmed thought quickly about 40 chests being carried away. "Your Majesty, I can tell you there were 40 thieves." "Amazing," said the king. "None of my own fortune tellers knew as much, but now you must find the thieves and the treasure." Ahmed felt faint. "I will do my best, Your Majesty, but it will take some time." How long? The king demanded. 40 days, your majesty, Ahmed said, guessing the longest he could get, 1 day for each thief. A long time indeed, said the king. Very well, you shall have it. If you succeed, I will make you rich. If you don't, you will rot with others in prison. Back home, Ahmed told Jamil, you see the trouble you've caused us? In 40 days, the king will lock me away. Nonsense, said Jamil. Just find the chest like you found the ring. I tell you, Jamil, I found nothing. That was only by God's grace. But this time, there is no hope. Ahmed took some dry dates, counted at 40, and placed them in a jar. I will eat one of these dates each morning. That will tell me when the 40 days are done. Now it happened that one of the king's servants was one of the thieves, and he had heard the king speaks with Ahmed. That same evening, he hurried to the thieves' meeting place and reported to their chief. There is a fortune teller who said he will find the treasure and the thieves in 40 days. He is bluffing, said the chief, but we can't afford to take chances. Go to his house and find out what you can. So the servant climbed up to the roof of Ahmed's house, and he listened down the stair that led inside. Just then, Ahmed took the first date from the jars and ate it. He told Jamil, that's one. The thief was so shocked, he nearly fell down from the stairs. He hurried back to the meeting place and told the chief, this fortune teller has amazing powers. Without seeing me, he knew I was on the roof. I clearly heard him say, that's one. You must have imagined it, said the chief. Tomorrow, 2 of you will go. So the next day, the servant returned to Ahmed's roof with another thief. They were listening. Ahmed ate a second date and said, that's 2. The thieves nearly tumbled over each other as they fled the roof and raced back to the chief. He knew there were 2 of us. The servant said, we heard him say, that's 2. It can't be, said the chief. So the other day, he sent 3 of the thieves, and the next day, he sent 4, then sent 5, and then 6. And so it went till the 40th night, when the chief said, this time I will go with you myself. So all the 40 thieves climbed to the Ahmed's roof to listen. Inside, Ahmed gazed at his last date in the jar. Then he sadly took it out and ate. That's 40. The number is complete. Jamil sat beside him and gently took his hand. Ahmed, during these 40 days, I have been thinking I was wrong to make you be a fortune teller. What you are, and I should have not tried to make you something else. Can you forgive me? I forgive you, Jamil, but the fault is mine as well. I should have not done what I knew was not wise. But none of this helps us now. Just then came a loud banging at the door. Ahmed sighed. The king's men are ready. He went to the door and unbolted it, calling, all right, I know why you are here. He swung the door open. To his amazement, he saw 40 men kneeling before him and touching their heads to the ground again and again. Of course you know, O great fortune teller, said the chief. Nothing can be hidden from you, but we beg you, do not give us away. Ahmed realized this must be the thieves. He thought fast and said, very well, I won't turn you in, but you must replace every bit of the treasure. At once, cried the chief. And before the night was through, 40 pairs of hands carried 40 chests of gold and silvers back into the king's treasury. Early the next morning, Ahmed appeared before the king. Your Majesty, my magic arts can find either the treasure or the thieves, but not both. Which one do you choose? The treasure, I suppose, said the king. Though it's a pity not to get the tips. The boiling water is already on fire. Well, never mind. Tell me where the treasure is, and I will send my men right away. No need, your majesty. Ahmed waved his arms in the air and called, Pish posh, wish wash, mish posh. Then he announced, by my magic, the taste has been returned to their place. The king himself went with Ahmed to the treasury and found it so. You are truly the greatest fortune teller of the age, he declared. From this day forth, you shall be my royal fortune teller. Thank you, your majesty, said Amel with a bow. But I'm afraid that's impossible. Finding and restoring your treasure was something so difficult. It used all my powers. I shall never be a fortune teller again. What a loss, cried the king. Then I must double your reward here. Take 2 of these chests for your own. So Ahmed returned home to Jamil, safe, rich, and a good deal wiser. And as any fortune teller could have foretold, they lived happily ever.